Okay, it looks like we are pretty much live. I'm still setting it up on Zoom, but it won't be too far, I don't think. Here we go. We are live. Hello, everyone, and welcome to this session with the Joyful Business Club, Facebook Live. This session is being recorded. You can watch it on replay if you're not watching it in the first instance. And also, I will be turning this into a YouTube clip. But first, let me introduce our fabulous speaker today. We have Laura Piccardi, who is a speaker, content creator, and author of the best-selling book, Unfaked. Love the title already. So needed in this world. And so she has many years of experience as a stress management expert and performance coach. And she has English wit and satirical skills, which I've certainly noticed in her writing. Oh my gosh, I've never laughed so much. You don't usually laugh when you're talking about business topics.
I know, that's what I keep going on about. It's allowed. We can laugh. It's fine.
We can laugh. And Laura's digital media company, Uppy, delivers engaging, fun, and thought-provoking content that challenges perceptions and inspires action. And yes, like I said, I have laughed. I have never laughed so much. And her vision is to help reduce the rates of lifestyle-related disease and levels of distress that are rapidly increasing as a result of our busy and pressured lives. We are living through periods of unprecedented disruption. We were talking before about being in lockdown. How are you finding it, and where are you and how are you finding it?
I am on the Central Coast in New South Wales, so we've been locked down for about 3 months, I think now. Look, like everyone, life is a roller coaster, baby, when you're in lockdown. So I go up, I go down, sometimes every minute, every hour, every day. So I think that's important for people to know. Even someone who does what I do, it's not all rainbows and unicorns all the time. But I think it's not. I'm sorry to tell you. But as we were talking about before, the way I live and the way I teach people is we just have to go with where we're at any given time. I find things get worse when you start to get angry or you start to panic around where you are. But if you're feeling angry, that's all right. You just got to sit with it and then find a way to move out of it as quickly as you can and move towards something that's more of an ideal state. And that's basically how I live all the time. I'm sure I could probably be a little bit more patient with my husband now that we're in month 3 of lockdown. So I'll publicly apologize to him right now. But again, you just got to kind of go, look, this is where we're at. Just breathe. It is not going to last forever.
Yeah, well, I'm homeschooling 2 primary school boys, and look, I love my kids, but yeah, it's tough.
It is. And look, that's okay. We just need to do little things. And by the way, in or out of lockdown, I believe that we can move through whatever we need to move through and keep that motivation energy that we're talking about today just by doing little things. And that's what I want to talk to you about today, really.
Well, I'm looking forward to it. Now, firstly, if you are online today, please make sure you sing out and say hi. We'd love to hear from you. And if you've got any questions, please make sure that you share. So being productive and efficient and effective during lockdown, what's the secret? Is there a secret?
Well, there is. So first of all, what I'd like to kind of address is what is productive anyway? Now, I know, right? Let's just go in there with a big question. So what I noticed, so I used to be, I was a coach for years. I coached business owners and professionals, in performance, in stress management. And what I found was one of the biggest things that was knocking them off course, if you like, throwing them off balance and holding them back was this idea of productivity. And so nowadays we seem to have decided that productivity means just doing as much as you possibly can, right? We've got to fill every minute of every day. And if we don't, and if we can't say to someone we're busy, then in our minds we're failing or we're doing something wrong.
Yeah, there's cult of busyness.
I know.
I think I may have spoken about this before, but when I was first learning Mandarin Chinese back in, I'm going to show my age here, 1993, we had this sentence pattern in our textbooks, and I thought it was mad at the time. And the sentence pattern was, how are you? Are you busy? Are you busy, not busy? Which is, how they speak in Chinese. Ni
Yeah.
mang mang, are you busy, not busy? And the person would say, oh, yeah, I'm very busy. What about you? I am also very busy. And I remember thinking,
Crazy.
what kind of crazy culture is this? But then I sort of had this epiphany a couple of years ago where I realized that when we meet each other now in Australian society, that's how we talk. It's almost a competition to see how busy we are. Oh, I'm so busy. I've got this, I've got this, I've got this, I've got this.
Yeah, I know. And if you haven't got this and this and this, then you just sort of try and make up that you have this and this and this, or you kind of put on a front that you're busy because you think that's what you need to be in order to be successful, or that's what you think the other people think you should be in order to be successful. And so that's really the first thing that we can change if we want to be able to stay motivated, stay energized, stay focused. Because this whole idea of busyness, this whole need to do as much as we possibly can in the time that we have, is actually pushing us in the opposite direction to where we want to be. Because this constant busyness and never switching off is actually constantly triggering fight or flight mode in our bodies. I'm sure everyone out there has heard of fight or flight mode. You're probably in it right now. I hate to tell you that, especially in lockdown, we are even more so. And that's because all these thoughts that we've constantly got going on in our heads, they are perceived by the brain as danger. So the brain doesn't necessarily know the difference between real and perceived danger. So it responds in the same way. So all these thoughts of got to do this, got to respond to these emails, got all this stuff to do, don't know when I'm going to find time to do it. My to-do list is never ending. This is constantly going to your brain, danger, danger, danger. So it's triggering fight or flight mode, which is triggering this all these processes and releasing hormones into our body to try and protect us and keep us safe. But because we're not using them, because we're just sat at our desks or, trying to homeschool the kids or get the dinner ready or whatever it is that we're trying to do, that is then making us less energized. It's zapping us of our energy. It's making us less healthy. It's giving us brain fog, so we can't think clearly, and it's making us doubt ourselves. All this self-doubt and all this unhelpful inner chat gets supersized. So all of that is actually then zapping us of the energy and motivation that we're looking for.
Thank you. That makes so much sense. And I will admit, though, even though I'm concerned about the cult of busyness, I am right in it. I am right in the thick of it. And sometimes I feel that, I've almost become addicted to it, to be honest.
Yeah, we absolutely do. And again, this is a problem that I used to see all the time with the people that I coach, even people I speak to every day. If we're not then busy, we kind of subconsciously start to question our worth and question, who am I? What am I doing? If I'm not busy, then does that mean that I'm not doing well? Does that mean that I'm lazy? And so we then—
What a tag.
Sorry?
What a tag, the lazy.
I know.
The lazy label.
I know, right? No one wants to be lazy. That's the worst thing, especially people in business. And so I can't remember why I started talking about that. Why did I start talking about that?
By saying that no one wants to be lazy.
That's right. Yeah. So we then, that's it. You said we're addicted to it. So we kind of attach our self-worth, as I said, to this productivity. So that becomes our whole reason for being, if you like. And if other things aren't going so well, if we feel out of control in other ways, so at the moment, lockdown, COVID, there's lots of stuff we cannot control. We look to the stuff that we think we can control even more, which means we become more busy, we become more productive, which then actually zaps us, as I said, of that energy and motivation more, because we're constantly in this go, 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 fight or flight mode.
Yeah, it's that whole, perception of this work hard, play hard culture, isn't it? And so many people will say, I work best under pressure. I'll leave it to the last minute, that whole culture as well of people leaving things to the last minute. So then that creates that stress and that adrenaline.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, doing that consistently means consistent fight or flight mode, which means over time, you're going to be consistently eating into those energy stores, eating into those motivation stores, and eating into that kind of self-worth store, I suppose, as well.
Interesting. So on one hand, you're addicted to it because it creates that adrenaline. On the other hand, it's actually eating away at your store of self-worth.
Yeah, exactly. It's like we're going for the thing that we want, and we think we have to be busy in order to get it, but actually that's taking us further away from it. So it doesn't mean that you can't be productive and achieve what you want if you're not busy. We just need to redefine how we define productivity, so that we know that productivity is actually achieving the things that I really want, not the things I think I should want, and being able to be myself, to live the life that I want, to be healthy at the same time. Those two things together are the ultimate productivity, and then that then feeds into our energy stores and our motivations stores, rather than zapping us of them.
That makes so much sense. And, in the Joyful Frugalista, I write a lot about, saving money and financial independence. And the whole financial independence, retire early movement is fascinating, because so many people find it so confronting. How dare young people want to work hard, save and invest, so they don't have to keep being on this constant overproductive, overworking, adrenaline stress treadmill to choose to get off it. Like, there's a lot of resistance to having people choose consciously not to play into this dynamic.
Absolutely. And it is a conscious choice. What you just said then, it has to be a conscious choice, because society, people around us, what our parents and our grandparents did, all of that is telling us, work hard, work hard. If you want to be successful, you've got to work hard. We are constantly consumed by this messaging. But what we now know, what you're teaching people as well, is that it doesn't have to be that way. So we have to consciously tell ourselves all the time, it doesn't have to be that way, and consciously, put little strategies into place in order to walk our own path, rather than walk this other path that people are telling us we should walk.
It's all very deep. But the big question is, what are the solutions? And I know you will have solutions to these. How do we then refocus so that we have more positive energy for us and our businesses?
Yeah, absolutely. So let me just kind of go over a little bit what I said before, because then it all ties in together. So what I was saying before is that when we are constantly on the go, when we're not switching off, when we're obsessed with being productive and busy, it's constantly triggering fight or flight mode in our brains, right? So our brain's number one priority is always to keep us safe. That's all it cares about. So everything we think, everything we do is always geared towards keeping us safe. Now, I know you might be thinking, well, Laura, how is eating a whole block of chocolate in one sitting or drinking 2 many glasses of wine keeping me safe?
My 9-year-old just stole the chocolate and did just exactly that in our household.
There you go, right? I think everyone can resonate with that scenario. But look, it is a strategy to keep you safe. That's a strategy to hold you back, to hold you in your comfort zone, right? If you're going to eat all the chocolate, it makes you feel comfortable. It makes you feel in control. So to your brain, it's like, oh, okay, then we must be safe. If we step out of our comfort zone, that is uncertain to our brain, and that's where potential danger lives. So our brain, at times of massive uncertainty, will go, no, 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 no. Stay here, please. I'm going to feed you some self-sabotaging behaviors or some limiting beliefs or some unhelpful thoughts, so we can just stay in our nice little comfort zone and not be put out where the danger is. So, yes.
Sorry, I'm going to interrupt here before we
Please.
move on to talking about solutions, and I'm losing your train of thought. I just wanted to acknowledge that there is a few comments, particularly the getting addicted to busy really resonates for a lot of people. Candace has also said there's definitely guilt if you're not making the most of lockdown.
Yeah. I mean, look, there's definitely guilt if you're not making the most of anything, right? So, even here's an example. It's my wedding anniversary, my 4-year wedding anniversary tomorrow. And
congratulations.
Thank you. I know, 4 years. Who'd have thought? And in my mind, I'm like, okay, we should have like a lovely meal, or we should try and do something. We should do this. I should make the most of the fact that it's our anniversary. But then in my brain, I'm like, do you know what? I'd be happy with a pizza and a good bottle of wine. Like, genuinely, it doesn't need to be anything. So you're absolutely right. We do think we have to make the most of every situation, of every day. Make every day your best day. How often do we hear that sort of crap?
Oh, yeah.
And it just puts extra pressure on us. But, I believe make every day whatever the hell you want every day to be, you know? So I think one of the most important things is to just let go of all of this stuff that's around us. Check in. If it works for you, great, take it on. If it doesn't, let it move on by and start to understand what is going to work for me right now, what's going to allow me to achieve the things I really want to achieve while being myself, while, you know, looking after my health, while looking after my mental health and my happiness as well. That's really what I'm going to focus on, the stuff that's going to allow me to do that.
Fabulous.
So, back to the solutions. So what we're talking about here is that our brain's number one priority is to keep us safe. And so everything we think and everything we do is geared towards that. So if we know that the constant go, 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 addiction to busyness, having to make the most of everything is actually communicating danger to our brain, which is triggering the fight or flight mode and zapping us of our energy and motivation and focus, then what we actually need to do is constantly communicate safety to our brain so that it stays in what we call rest and digest mode in our parasympathetic nervous system, which means we're staying in our logical brain so we can take proactive action and, as I said, move through whatever we need to move through in any given moment. So I like to call this whole concept of communicating safety to your brain like hitting Control-Alt-Delete on your brain. So we just need to find little tiny things throughout the day that allow us to communicate safety, hit Control-Alt-Delete on our brain so it can kind of reset, go, okay, we're cool, there's no danger present, the body calms down, and then we can move forward with more momentum. Does that make sense?
It does make sense. I'm guessing though, the trick is not so much the knowing, but the doing.
It is. However, through the knowing, you then get to understand that the doing is actually very easy. The key with this is consistency. So we don't need to do any grand things. You know, I'm not talking about hitting Control-Alt-Delete by, you know, having to go and find a rock by the ocean and meditate for an hour, you know, or even going for a long walk in nature. Those things are lovely. If you can do them, but it's not realistic, right? So what we need to do is just find little tiny things that go Control-Alt-Delete, we're safe, go. Control-Alt-Delete, we're safe, go. That's what we're striving for throughout our day. Now, to make a bit more sense of this, I always use the analogy of a bow and arrow. So if you think of a bow and arrow, what is the purpose of it? It is to shoot the arrow as far forward as possible to hit the target, right? Now, in order to do that, you have to take the arrow in the opposite direction from where you want it to go. But in doing so, it gets the momentum that it needs in order to get to the target as quickly and efficiently as possible. If we didn't take it in the opposite direction, we'd literally push it forward, it'd drop down. Push it forward, it'd drop down. So we might get there eventually, but it's going to be hard and it's going to take a long time, right? Now, I'm sure there's probably people out there, you can let us know in the comments, who feels like that second arrow, like you are pushing forward, dropping down a bit, pushing forward, dropping down a bit. I think especially in lockdown, it does feel like we're pushing.
Yeah, some days are good. I'm like, oh yeah, this will be fine. And some days it's not. And I observed last year during the Melbourne lockdown when I was speaking with family, some days they were almost like, it was almost denial. Like they were like, oh, we're totally fine. It's great. We've got, you know, doing art in the backyard. Life is great. And I'm like, really? Like you're in lockdown. The figures aren't good. Are you sure you're okay? Oh, no, we're perfectly fine. The next day, they are angry. They're like, this government, there's like a dictatorship. This is so unfair. And then the next day, it's like denial. Do you even know anyone who's had COVID? I had a family member ask. I don't think it even exists. And if it does exist, it's over in those western suburbs. It's nowhere near me. Why am I being subjected to this? It's all a big conspiracy.
Yeah, exactly. That's the roller coaster, baby, right? That's what we go through every single day. And so that's what we want to kind of manage a little bit better, rather than the ups and downs or the pushing forward. We want to be able to just get a smoother momentum, a more even, be a boring roller coaster, but we kind of want to be on that boring roller coaster, right? There's a bit more steady rather than the extreme ups and downs. So with that bow and arrow, then that's a really nice way for you to think about yourself, right? because the target is whatever it is that's important to you, the things that you're trying to achieve. And so what we know is if you want to achieve that, and if you want to get the momentum to achieve it as quickly and efficiently as possible, then you also need to take yourself in the opposite direction just a little bit. And that's that Control Alt Delete, so that you can move forward. Now, again, don't freak out, everyone. I'm not saying you have to constantly just stop and do nothing, or, you know, go off to that rock and meditate. Again, I know that's not always possible, but we can reset our brains even on the go if we understand what is it that makes us feel good. What is it that really lights us up, what we're passionate about, what brings joy into our lives. I'm talking a lot about our core values here, and what's truly important to us. If we can understand what those things are, we can filter them nicely into our day. So to give you an example, I'm talking about a favorite song. Find a favorite song or a playlist that takes you to a happy time. I know all of you out there, like, let us know some of your songs in the comments. Even we'll have a song that when you hear it, you're like, ah, yeah, I love it. It takes me back to this, and I was here when that happened, and you immediately feel happy, right? So you can leverage that. You put that song on while you're getting ready in the morning, while you're making your lunch, or you know, having your morning tea, or whatever it is. That is going to, remember I said your brain doesn't know the difference between real and perceived. So that's going to take your brain to a happy place, which communicates safety. So then the brain goes, oh, okay, well, you're happy right now and you're feeling calm and you're jumping up and down and singing. So clearly danger can't be present. So I'm going to calm the hell down. So therefore you get your Control Alt Delete, you get your little step back, and you regain, or you add to your energy and your momentum. Make sense?
It does make total sense. And if I can just share that times in my life where I've gone through trauma or difficulties, such as, you know, leaving my first marriage, such as, you know, breakup with boyfriends and other things before I met my lovely husband, I would actually sing really bad love ballads on karaoke. And in fact, when I met my lovely husband, he was going through separation. We were just friends. And I remember inviting him round for dinner, and he was just so heartbroken. We were just friends. But I was like, we have this, you know, tradition that, you know, we do. That's how I, you know, make myself happy. So come round for some bad karaoke. So he did. He didn't want to leave. I had to throw him out the door, but it was good. But we've now adopted that as our Friday night ritual. It's a bit hard because he's away at the moment, but we have Friday night karaoke. We make pizzas, and that's how we do TGIF Friday. We embarrass my kids who are primary school and don't think this is cool by making them sing certain things. But we deliberately choose the cheesiest, the uncoolest, the tackiest, more upbeat things. But it is great for shifting, you know, our mindset.
Exactly. So you can do that. Well, how long's a song? 3.5 minutes. So in 3.5 minutes, you can get that exact benefit. You know, I love, I've got a little dog who's the love of my life, apart from my husband, of course. And I sing to him during the day, or I'll dance with him. Like him and I have been perfecting the lift from Dirty Dancing, or I'll change the song lyrics.
Oh, that's so cute.
I know. If anyone could see us, you know, I love changing song lyrics to include his name. Like his name's Tony, so I'll sing Fat Bottom Tony makes the rock and roll go round, or something like that. It's stupid, I know, but it makes me feel happy. So it tells my brain everything's okay, we're not in danger, and then it re-energizes me to then move to the next phase of my day, even if that's just the next 10 minutes.
So we've got some good ideas for songs here. Berenice Chong has said, cue Bridget Jones all by myself. Yeah, exactly. You cannot think that without singing that. And Candace has got Black Eyed Peas, Tonight's Going to Be a Good Night. It's a great cheer up song.
Perfect. All of them are perfect, and different songs for different moods, right? It doesn't matter what it is. There's no right, there's no wrong. Sometimes a good power ballad is the way forward, and sometimes some cheesy 80 music is the way forward. So, and I bet you're all smiling now, right? Just thinking about this, even thinking
I hope
about
so.
it.
Send us a smiley emoji if you're smiling.
Yes, please. Or even if you're not, do it anyway. So it's just finding these tiny little things. So whatever lights you up. So it could be, you know, watching a funny video on YouTube, for example, for a little 3-minute break. It could be, you know, the standard stuff, breathing. I know I don't want to devalue breathing. It's the best thing that we can do to calm ourselves down and communicate safety. So you can do that anytime, anywhere. You can even do it, you know, while someone's talking to you secretly, if you want to and need to. But it can be other fun things. You know, I've got some adult coloring books, so I might color in some adult coloring books here and there. I had clients who, one loved the ukulele, so she'd just pick up the ukulele every now and then and bust out a little tune. Another lady liked speaking French, so she'd do a few minutes of a French audio thing in between things that she's doing. So it's just all these little things. But remember, I said the key is consistency. So we just got to constantly go to our brain, we're cool, we're cool, we're cool, it's okay, no danger, no danger. So something for 3 minutes, reset, Control Alt Delete, step back, move forward. That's really how we can truly get the energy and the motivation we want, because we're leveraging the way our brain works in order to get it from within. It's not fake stuff through caffeine or you know,
or alcohol, for instance, which is
or alcohol. Yeah,
just to
that as well, but
just to share, here in the ACT, bottle shops are not are still considered essential. They're still open, but in ACT in New South Wales they're not. So it's a bit different. Or is it different where you are?
Open. All ours are open. I think I've not had any problem getting alcohol.
I don't know, but they're open in the ACT, and I've heard anecdotally that wineries and others in our region are not considered essential, so they're not open.
Really? Well, luckily I've got a restaurant, my husband and I. It's more his baby, and so we can get as much wine as we want through that. So we're good.
Wow, you've got a lot of different hats. What kind of restaurant?
It's Italian. My husband's Italian, so it's a little pasta bar, which is
lovely. So difficult times during COVID. So you know about this firsthand as a business owner as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And the whole, you know, the buzzword pivoting, you know, we've learned that firsthand. Luckily, we kind of anticipated it, so we're set up for takeaway, but it still doesn't mean that it doesn't throw you off course. So of course, there's been lots of cheesy tunes and dancing with the dog to keep us rolling.
And this is, you know, really important too, to keep up that momentum. And, you know, one thing is really hard too, is because, you know, obviously, in addition to this, I write about, you know, personal finance, and some people get very upset about sharing any positive wins that people have. They're like, we're doing it so tough. How dare you share anything positive?
Absolutely. And again, that's that whole concept of just letting go of what's going on around you. It's actually really important to celebrate our wins, because that in itself gives us energy and gives us motivation, because we're reinforcing what we're doing. I always liken our subconscious brain to a child. So if you want a child to do something, you kind of have to give them the parameters, tell them what they need to do, and then reward them when they've done it, so they're more likely to do it again, right? You have to give that reward to associate a positive feeling and a positive emotion with the action. So when we celebrate the things that we do, we're doing that exact same thing. We're associating a good feeling, a positive emotion, with the action that we did. So then our brain is like, oh, I like that, let's do that again. So then it motivates you to do more stuff, to get more of those positive feelings. So it's all about, all the stuff we're talking about is just understanding how your brain works. It's actually, as far as I'm concerned, pretty simple when we're talking about it in this sense, but we just got to remember our brain's number one priority is to keep us safe. How can I consistently communicate safety to my brain throughout the day? And that is then going to allow you to stay in your parasympathetic nervous system, which means no fight or flight mode, which means you're in your logical brain, which means everything in your body is working to its optimum. So therefore, you're going to have the energy, you're going to be able to manage what comes your way, and you're not going to be held back so much by all this self-doubt and this need to prove yourself.
Fabulous. Thank you so much for sharing that. Please leave your details in the chat so people know how to find you, and make sure to read her book. So Laura's book, Unfaked. Wow, look at that fabulous And it's quite timely with the whole, you've probably seen those pictures of Kim Kardashian. She was, I think, arriving somewhere where it was the Met Ball or somewhere, and she's all completely in black. Or we think it's her. No one's really quite sure.
I did not see that. I'll have to Google it.
Including a leather thing on her face with, zip slits her eyes so no one can see who it is, but the telltale black ponytail at the back seems to indicate that that's her. So this is very timely because it's been across social media in the last couple of days. And I will be turning this into a YouTube clip, so please look out for that. And if you haven't, please subscribe to the Joyful Business Club YouTube channel. I really value your support. And next week, I now have another fabulous guest speaker here on the Joyful Business Club. And of course, all my guests are absolutely fabulous. So next week we have Kerry Howard, who is a trauma prevention strategist. So she will no doubt have some really interesting insights as well. So I hope you all continue to be safe and well. Continue sharing your favorite feel-good songs and music to help lift us all up. The cheesier, the better. And look forward to hearing what it is that makes you smile and keeps you in your happy place. Thank you.
Thank you.